And Shawn Collins, former Navy JAG advisor who's negotiated with the Taliban and survived 2 assassination attempts. All right, Pete, Jen needs her head checked. She sounds like Baghdad Bob up there. Oh, we have the Americans totally surrounded. Meanwhile, tanks are rolling right through the Capitol. How could you?
Yeah, these are not the droids you're looking for.
Yeah, right. Stranded. This isn't like a layover. Like she can't. They can't. The Americans can't go to the lounge and get a drink. If they wanted, if they weren't stranded, they'd be home by now.
Oh, yeah. Don't worry, though. We're in touch via text and email, and you could submit via the website. But right now, the guidance of the embassy, which we abandoned and moved to the airport, is the gates are closed. Don't try to get to the airport. Don't call us. Maybe we'll call you. And when we ask you to move, just find your way through those Taliban checkpoints where they're checking your passports or your visa application, and they beat you when you try to get through, or they don't want to let you through. We are at the whim of our enemy. The people who facilitated the 9/11 attacks now control which Americans are allowed to flee the country, which in effect, Jesse, makes every American, and frankly, every Afghan translator who can't get through, already a hostage of the Taliban, hostage to a timeline they're committed to, and this White House is completely beholden to. We're calling the Taliban and asking permission and not pushing out to secure a perimeter and making it very clear, if you harm a hair on the head of an American, we're going to stack Taliban bodies. Give us 24 hours, wide open, every American in, you touch one, you die. It's not hard, but we won't do it.
Yeah, Shawn, hostage situation, and we're up against the clock now. 8 days to get our guys out of there. You've negotiated with these savages. How do you think this is going to shake out?
Well, first of all, the fact that we're currently groveling to the Taliban to help us get American citizens out of the country shows you how terribly wrong this withdrawal has gone. And I can tell you, first of all, there's nothing good about the Taliban. So I lived in Kandahar City. I actually lived a block over from where Mullah Omar used to live. And the Taliban, let me tell you how they operate. So my first interpreter when I was in Afghanistan was shot in the back of the head in the bazaar because he worked with Americans. They sent a suicide bomber onto my compound and detonated him in a room full of people. They parked a Toyota Corolla outside the gate of our compound and killed a lot of innocent women and children to get their point across. So the fact that we are actually entertaining whether or not the Taliban are going to help us right now is laughable. Because the Taliban, what they're going to do is they're going to try and dictate the terms. And right now we have a president that is allowing them to do that. And it has to stop.
And they're going to be dictating the terms, Pete, with about, what, a couple billion in U.S. military hardware. It's not going to be a Toyota Corolla coming through. It's going to be a Black Hawk. It's going to be a Humvee. They even have control of the drones that go off the back of the Humvees. I don't know, 8 days to get everybody out, Pete. I don't know if it's enough time. I really don't.
It's not 8 days, Jesse. It's not 8 days because you've got to get rid of the military personnel. Apparently, we're withdrawing them, although we have 7,000 and we used to have 2,500. So they have to stay last. Hopefully, we found that lesson out. That's going to take a couple of days to retrograde our troops, which means you really have 4 to 5 days.
Right.
And the White House still can't tell us who it is. And this is just American citizens, who should be number one. But how many Afghan allies are going to leave behind? I'll tell you this, Jesse. Honestly, not 45 minutes ago, I got a text that finally, after 6 attempts and multiple beatings of the Taliban, the brother of my interpreter, who also was an interpreter, finally made it into the gates. Not because of the Biden administration, not because of the State Department, but because of vets and Marines on the ground working around the system with a plan over their cell phones and apps to facilitate this translator to get through the gates. There is no plan. He got beat at Taliban checkpoints. His 2-year-old daughter got beat at Taliban checkpoints. 45 minutes ago, he got in. If you don't have connections, you're not getting in, which means by August 31st, we're stranding thousands of people, including citizens, and that will be on Joe Biden if they give in to the Taliban timeline.
Yeah, you need connections, you need cash, and you need a lot of luck because who knows what kind of checkpoint you're going to see. And Americans have to face this risk. Do you risk dying to get to the airport, or do you risk dying in country if you don't get to the airport? That's the decision. It's a life and death decision that these Americans, stranded Americans, Shawn, are having to make within the next, I don't know, couple days, according to a timeline that was set for a photo op for the commander-in-chief.
No, that's absolutely right. And to Pete's point, I actually have a Marine Corps buddy who did the exact same thing. He used his own personal connections to help get his translator out of the country. And that's the situation that we're in right now. There are Americans stranded in Afghanistan right now, and we have no plan to get them out of the country. That's a huge problem. And to not acknowledge the fact that the Taliban control all of the checkpoints. To my point, the Taliban are not nice. They have no interest in allowing Americans to get through checkpoints so that they can catch their safe flight back to the U.S.
Well, I didn't serve like you guys.
Power to inhibit that.
I didn't serve like you guys, but I know one of the biggest tenets in the military, the biggest code of honor, is you don't leave anyone behind. And the commander-in-chief has left thousands of Americans behind, doesn't know how many they are, and is not doing enough to get them out. And that's the reality of this situation.